Hey guys, John and Michael here from the RxReview.com, and today we're taking a closer look at Nike's first functional fitness shoe, the Nike MetCon, which you can see right here. Okay, so the Nike MetCon was first available to athletes late last year, and this year became available to the public. Now, of course, people around the world were raving on to get their hands on these shoes. Michael, you've got two pairs and you've been testing these for the past 2 months. What are your thoughts on the shoe?
Yeah, John, I mean, anyone that's been on social media the past year that follows any functional fitness athletes that maybe coincidentally was sponsored by Nike might have seen these shoes and heard people rave on about it. So when I finally got my hands or my feet on them, I should say, I was really excited to test them out. And I've got to tell you at the outset, Nike, I was disappointed.
Why were you disappointed, Mikey? Because I believe you actually told me the first thing you did is you liked the style of it. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I got to say, on the outset, I thought these looked great. I was really excited to test them out. I think they got the style and the design. Right, I like the color palette they chose. I believe they come in 2 different colors. I think there's also a kind of gray black one, which I wasn't able to get. But I just kind of like the way they looked.
But of course, looking good is one thing, performing good's another, right? We know all about that with you. Tell us about the shoe in itself. What is so bad about it, and why are you so disappointed in the shoe?
Look, there's a lot of things. First, well, maybe I'm saying first and foremost too much, but if we're talking about the function of them, the one thing that you notice the minute you put these on is that they're actually really heavy. And I noticed how heavy they were. I was like, man, like, I feel like I'm wearing like weights on my shoes. So
how heavy were we talking though? Like,
I have notes. So I took them home. I got my little, where is it? My trusty scale somewhere around here.
Okay.
All right. My gram scale.
Where'd you buy that from in the first place? Huh?
Yeah, I don't know why you would need a gram scale, but
Okay.
I took it in grams. So going down the list.
Okay, the Nike Free, how much does this weigh?
Nike Free 3.0, it weighs 200 grams.
200 grams, the F-Lite 195.
They were 220 grams.
The F-Lite 235.
247 grams.
And the Reebok CrossFit Nano version 4.
The 4 was 290 grams, and one that I forgot to bring, one of my favorite shoes, the Nano 4, weighed in slightly heavier
Nano 3, I believe?
Yeah, Nano 3 weighed in slightly heavier at 292 grams. And then the heaviest shoe happened to be the Nike MetCon at 300. Is that what you're going to ask?
Yeah, how much is it?
330 grams.
330 grams. Now compare that to the Nike Free or the F-Lite, which is about 200 grams each, right?
Yeah.
This is 330. That's more than 100 grams on each foot, which is about 0.2 of a kilogram, right? So is it fair to say doing long MetCons you were feeling that extra weight?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people may say like, it's only 100 or 125 grams difference, but I mean, you do filthy 50, like 50 box jumps, you start doing like, a lot of pull-ups, and you're going to notice that extra weight. And like I said, I noticed it when I put it on, and that's why I actually went out and decided to weigh it.
Okay, so you didn't like the weight of the shoe. What about performing in some typical CrossFit movements like weightlifting, for instance? How were they with weightlifting?
Yeah, surprisingly, like I'm going to go back to another thing that I did not like about it was how squishy they actually felt. And when I say squishy, like this heel is kind of very rubbery. And so when I was walking around, I kind of noticed, like, I'm like, oh, they feel a little bit clunky and squishy.
Yep.
However, when I actually started doing some deadlifts was the first exercise I did in them, and then I moved to some clean and jerks and some snatches. I was actually surprised how stable they actually felt. So despite the fact they felt squishy when I was walking around, they did have a bit of a solid, stable base. But that brings me to another issue in regards to the sole. Because it was so heavy and because the sole was so rubbery, I think there's a lot of lack of tactile feel. So if you take, for instance, like the 235s, which I really like, you kind of feel like you can actually feel the ground. There's a bit more response, so you're not slamming your feet down as hard.
Now, you do come from a minimalist background. You've always trained in Vibrams and minimalist shoes, right? This obviously has a heel drop, right? Which is it fair to say that maybe you're just not a fan of shoes which have a heel drop?
Yeah, look, I've been doing CrossFit for quite some time now, and I mean, I'm old school in the respect I love Chuck Taylors, I love my Vibram 5 fingers.
Flat shoes you like?
Yeah, I like the 195s and the 235s, those minimalist type of shoes. So wearing this, I felt like I was kind of going backwards in time. So wearing like big, rubbery, thick gym shoes. And what I've said to a couple of people, if I was a coach at a box, I would possibly recommend these to a new athlete that's not used to wearing minimal shoes. They're going to give you a little bit more support. They're going to be a little bit more stable, and they're not going to have like the negative effects that some people say that they associate when they go to a minimalist shoe straight away.
Okay, but for an athlete that's quite successful in CrossFit, or they're good at the movements, or even a games athlete, would you recommend this shoe for them?
Yeah, look, everyone that has used them that is like a Games League athlete, I'm calling bullshit on them saying how awesome they were.
Maybe they're sponsored by them. Huh?
Maybe they're getting a little bit of money and they're sponsored, so that's possibly why they don't want to tell you that they're not the best shoe and the bee's knees and the best thing since sliced bread.
Which not too many sponsored athletes are going to say that the shoe they're wearing is bad, isn't that right, Michael?
It's kind of bad I said bullshit, but you know, it's like, it's frustrating to see that so many people raved on about them. Yeah. I didn't find them as great as...
Fair enough. Well, it seems like you've got a lot to say about what you don't like about the shoe. Is there anything that you actually liked about the shoe apart from the appearance of it?
Yeah, look, I might wear them walking around town or something. I'm not going to actually take them to my box and work out in them. And I'm really kind of sad and disappointed to say that Nike has done. I mean, the free fly or the flywire system, I think, is quite innovative. I kind of like that in the shoe. It did feel stable. I also like it's got the little thing in the back here.
Pull out, whatever you want to call it.
The tongue pull, so you can pull that in. That actually is quite.
Yeah, and
quite
it's on none of the other shoes, so it's it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I did actually like that. Instead of trying to pull that back all the time and slide your foot in.
What about running? We know that Nike are great shoes for running. Were they decent running shoes?
Yeah, look, that's what I'm going to say. Like, if you're going out for a long run, I'm going to say that this is probably where these perform the best. A lot of the time, you're doing your pose running, you've got good form. Eventually, after a kilometer, 2 kilometers, you're going to get tired of fatigue, and you start to maybe heel strike a little bit more. Having that extra support is going to be slightly beneficial to you. Some people that wear the 195s, 235s, say after a while of running in them, they get a little bit sore and tired in their feet, and I think that's where this is probably going to be more beneficial.
Fair enough. It seems like we've heard enough from you about these shoes. The final question I've got for you, Michael, and it all comes down to, would we spend money for these products? Michael, if these shoes were stolen from your cupboard and you had to replace them, would you buy a new pair of the Nike MetCons?
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to say, surprise, surprise, I would not purchase these. I think this is a good first start. I'd much rather prefer the Nano 4s, my favorite Nano 3s, or my favorite shoe at the moment, the F-Lite 235s. I'd much rather prefer to purchase them over these.
Okay, well there you have it. Mikey would not buy these again. If you'd like to buy them for yourself, however, they are on sale right now for $170 in Australia and New Zealand and $120 in America. And if you'd like to find out more reviews and read more of our reviews or see more of our reviews, you can check out our website, thearixview.com. That's it for now.
See ya.
Training time!